Hey guys, Tom here with Suburban Society, and I'm here today to talk to you about our top 5 paranormal investigating devices. So let's get started with number 1, the Mel Meter. Now the Mel Meter was designed and developed by Gary Gelka, and Gary named this device after one of his daughters that had passed. And this model is the 8704. 87 being the year she was born, 04 being the year that she passed. So let's talk about the Mel Meter a little bit more in detail. So the Mel Meter is a EMF, electromagnetic field tester. The EMF meter is used to diagnose electrical problems, such as electrical lines, power lines, and to get readings on appliances. And on TV, ghost hunters frequently use EMF meters out in the field. But why is that? Why did they use an EMF meter? So let's talk about that a little bit more. EMF meters detect fields emitted by moving electrically charged objects. Electromagnetic fields are created by using alternating and direct current. EMF meters measure fields produced by alternating current, the type of electricity surging through your microwave and televisions. This current moves back and forth about 50 or 60 times a second. So how do we use such a device for ghost hunting? Now I know that Peter Venkman used the PKE device as his electromagnetic meter, but we use several different devices nowadays, and one being the Mel Meter. Now a electromagnetic field tester actually tests the fluctuation. So the Mel was specifically designed as an instrument to determine fluctuations in the electromagnetic field. So with a EMF meter, you should always do a preliminary sweep of a location to get your baseline readings. So what we do is we draw a map of the location and the different floors, and then we take our EMF detectors and we go to each room checking outlets, TVs, we check the floor, we check light fixtures on the wall, on the ceiling, to get an idea of what kind of EMF we are dealing with. And we note that on our map once we do get hits. And typically in a location, a TV or a microwave or maybe even a computer monitor might give off readings anywhere between 7 and 30. Anything above that is typically a natural source, such as power line or a home furnace, an ice maker, something like that. But they say in theory that spirit activity usually shows up between 2 and 7, right around in those ranges. So when you're doing your baseline sweeps, you want to make sure that you note on your maps where you're getting these readings. So once you do a complete sweep of the location, you can go back and share this data with the entire team. But when you're investigating, you want to know if you're getting a hit, if something happened during the sweep that you picked up on naturally that's there. So you can kind of rule it out. So this Mel Meter is awesome for doing sweeps because you also get the temperatures. And yes, temperatures do change. When you do the sweep to when you investigate, temperature might drop 10, 15 degrees. But it's still nice to know where you started out at. And so you can have some idea when you're documenting your experiences on where you're at. What other things can set these devices off that I'm going to show you today? All these devices have the capability of being set off by other devices. So one of the things that we've proven and tested was walkie-talkies. So keying a walkie-talkie while you're using the rempod will set it off. So here's my walkie-talkie.
Power on. 1,
So I've just turned it on. Now all I'm going to do, the REM pod's already on, so all I'm going to do is key the button. And it's going crazy. Shut it off, it goes off. So the same thing with the Mel Meter, the K2, and so on. You're going to have the same issues when you're trying to key your walkie-talkie. So remember that, make sure you share that with your team. But the other thing that will set them off is a Wi-Fi signal. So if you have a Wi-Fi hub sitting on a mantle with all these wires running to it, and you get close to that with your Mel Meter, it will spike up. It'll go give you an extremely high reading. So that will just give you an idea of that Wi-Fi signal being sent out. You know, wireless, but it's being sent out to communicate with your wireless devices. And when you try to do something live, such as a Facebook live session, where you have your phone, your iPhone, and you go to Facebook and you click on live session and you're shooting live inside of a haunted location. Well, that signal there is a repeating signal. It's streaming back and forth to Wi-Fi, communicating. And what happens there is that Mel Meter will pick up that signal. And the closer you are to that phone or the Wi-Fi hub, the higher the reading will get. So what I'm recommending is don't take my word for it. Go out there and do it. The next time you're in a location, fire up the Mel Meter. When you go live, go close to the phone and see what happens. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So those are some things with the Mel Meter that you want to kind of understand going in. What other things can affect it. The rule of thumb is to remove as much contamination as possible. You know, shut off all the lights in the house when you first get there before you do your baseline sweep. Make sure there's no power. If you could shut off the power at the panel, that would be even better. Then you know that you don't have any electrical interference going on in the location. Make sure everybody shuts off their cell phones, because even emails being sent through are going to be signals of Wi-Fi signals that could affect those devices. So we do not use cell phones on a regular basis unless we're going live. And when we go live, we don't use the devices. Simple as that. So again, the Mel Meter is an awesome device. It's very easy to use. You simply just power it up by hitting the power button and holding the button until it comes on. And it's got a great display on the front that lights up, you know, and it gives you all the readings and the temperature on it below it. And that is your temperature thermocouple on the top that plugs into the top of the unit. And it's a great little device. Takes a 9-volt battery to power it up, and that's usually plenty to last an 8-10 hour investigation. It does come with a little pouch. You can carry it on your hip. I personally keep it in a foam protected case with my other electronics, and it's survived this long. It does have the little thing in the back that kind of kicks out, so you can set it on something on an angle so you can kind of read the front of the display also. So yeah, great little device. They start anywhere between $80 and $200 depending on the model. Other models might have other functions on them, such as a flashlight. Some have the K2/rempod lights at the top. And again, this is what works for us. There's other models out there. There's the black model. It comes in gray with all different other options on it, newer options. But this one works for us. So let's talk about the next device. Number 2, the REM pod. Now the REM pod is one of those devices that are very skeptical. A lot of people don't have a lot of faith in them because during investigations they sit idle quite a bit with not very much activity on them. And I'll be honest, I've sat in many investigations where they've not lit up one time. many investigations. But, ironically, the first investigation I was on, we got it to light up. And, being new to it, I didn't really understand why that was happening. So after gaining the experience that I have now, I'd like to go back and question a lot of things around that activity, such as we had it sitting on the floor. Was there a light on the ceiling underneath, on the floor below us that was affecting it? Was there conduit or old wiring running through the floor there? I'm not sure, but I'd like to have tested it further. So, as I mentioned, many people have sat in investigations and sessions with these and nothing ever happens. But, I advise you to watch our private investigation parts 1 and 2. No doubt in my mind you will see activity due to direct, intelligent responses on the rempod. Are you sure you don't want to light up this device that's right next to me? You've already done that one enough. Light this one up, please. Just messing with me now. Why you gotta mess with me like that? Unless you keep thinking I'm asking you to turn that device on. I don't want that one anymore. I want this one. I'll shut that one off. I'll do that.
That's not a bad idea.
That's a great idea. I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna give you this option anymore. I'm taking this one away from you.
Oh my goodness.
It was me shutting off the device.
No, just turn it on again.
Oh, hell no.
Oh my goodness.
All right, you got a new device now. Play with that one for a little bit. You're welcome.
I think you're a little stubborn. You want it your way.
Thank you. It is a cool device. Doesn't weigh much. It's probably about, probably 3.5 pounds. It looks like it's well made. I do protect it and keep it in a protective case for travel. But it has the telescopic antenna that is a very important part of the REM pod, because this device gives off its own EMF around it with that antenna. And then once that field is broken is when it lights up. So power it up, and the closer that you get to the antenna, the more light you get. So if I start out here, I can just get the green light. So if I get a little closer, I get green and yellow, blue, green, yellow, and blue, and red also when I almost touch it. So you get a little sound and you get the lights. And it's kind of nice because when you're normally investigating in the dark, so it's nice to be able to see and hear the responses when you do detect something. It does take a 9-volt battery also, and it has the on-off switch underneath it, and it is pretty durable unit. And again, it will be set off by walkie-talkies, cell phones, Wi-Fi signals. I personally like to use the KISS method, and that is keep it simple, stupid. And I try to limit the number of devices I use during a session. So, the Mel Meter I'll use with other devices. As long as you keep your distance from it, it should be fine. But, if you're using the rempod, you don't want to put the K2 right next to it or the Mel right next to it. You want to give it some room. And it will not set it off. But if you do get close to it, it will set, the both will light up. So do some experimenting with that and check it out. But again, I've had some amazing responses to direct questionings with the rempod. So if you are interested in something like this, maybe do your homework. You could probably find it anywhere between $100 and maybe $160. So that's the rempod. So let's talk about number 3, the K2 meter. Now the K2 meter is a very affordable device. They start anywhere between $50. I've seen them as high as like $70. They do come in different colors, black and gray, but they're virtually the same device. I have seen some aftermarket ones that don't actually say K2 on them, like this one does, and they are a little cheaper in price, but you know, for a few extra bucks, I'm going to stick with the name that I know. So this device is actually really simple to use. You simply just hold and press this button here till you get all the lights to light up, and you'll see a constant green light there that lights up, and it lets the operator know that it's powered up and it's ready to go. So this is a handheld unit along with the Melmeter. They're both handheld units, but I particularly don't like to carry around the device. You know, I like to move it to one location or another. I'm trying to eliminate the contamination. And could I contaminate it? I don't know, but I want to rule it out. So I typically will lay it down on something, you know, when I'm investigating with it, so that I don't interfere with that electromagnetic field. And I guess it just validates more of, you know, my findings. You know, when I do catch something, I do catch it on audio and video, and you can go back and look at the results. I think it validates it a little bit more knowing that my hands are off of it. But again, you can use the K2 device to do sweeps of a location just like you use the Melmeter. You know, sometimes a place is so big you need 2 devices. So the K2 will go one way and the Mel will go the other way, divide and conquer. If you look at our video from the Private Investigation 1 and 2, we definitely got some direct responses to the K2 meter, along with the rempod. And at one point, during testing, where we went back in the home and we did additional tests to try to find this EMF source that was setting off these devices, we weren't able to find that source. And during questions, we were able to get the spirit to actually light up both of these devices at the same time. This is a device that every paranormal investigator should have in their arsenal. This is an EMF meter just like the Melmeter. It tests the EMF levels and gives you an idea. On this one, it doesn't have the digital display, but it has a range here that you'll see. And they typically can correlate with the Melmeter. My number 4 device is the infrared thermometer. Now there can be a lot of situations where you'll hit a cold spot, or you might feel a cold spot walking through an area. And something like this, that is super easy to use, can help you validate that cold spot. And if you don't validate it, then it's your word. You're telling me I felt something cold. You didn't really tell me any more than that. With this, you can tell me where you felt the cold spot and exactly what that temperature is. And this is very easy to operate. It's got a little trigger on the bottom of it. Looks like a little gun. And it's got a little digital screen here. And you can just push the button. You can see that it's giving you that infrared signal. And on the front of it, it's showing that I'm 91.5 degrees right now. Yeah, 91.5. So you could shoot it all the way across the room. So I'm shooting it almost 30 feet right now, and I'm getting a reading of 72 degrees. And that's what I currently have the temperature set for this room. So this could, really help you out when you're validating cold spots. So one thing that you need to keep with you during sessions, especially when you're walking through a location and you're going from room to room and you're going to experience and encounter different temperatures. So this could help you really validate. It's also a good tool to use to document temperatures in a location and write them down on a map. So just something to think about. They're not very expensive. I've seen them anywhere between $10 and $25, depending on your budget. And they work great. And the last device that I want to talk to you about, number 5, is me. Or you. Yes, use yourself as a device. So just like any device, that device needs to be prepared for that investigation. So having the proper research, preparing yourself mentally, knowing the spirits that you may encounter by name from the research, knowing the property, the surroundings, the town, anything that you can going in to prepare yourself. And also physically preparing yourself for the investigation. Make sure you don't eat right before the investigation because your digestive system is going to make all kinds of noise, which mine does all the time. But, the other thing you can do is, eat, around 3 o'clock. Give your body some time to digest that food and it'll make less noise. And then during the investigation, you're going to want a snack to keep those energy levels up. But snack, not a full meal. The other thing you're going to want to do is think about your hearing, because once the lights go off, you want to make sure that you prepare all your senses so they're ready to interpret anything they feel or hear. So an example of that would be wear earplugs to the investigation. Wear them all day so that your ears have chance to rest. You get in there, you pull your earplugs out, and those ears are ready to go. They're ready to hear any little sound that they hear. And when you start that first session and all those lights are off, let your senses take over. This is the device that we're talking about. You want to listen for the noises. You want to reduce your contamination, as I talked about in other videos. Reducing the contamination. The whole team needs to be on board with reducing the contamination. It'll make your experience during a paranormal investigation far more better. You'll be able to go back and listen to audio and watch your videos that you recorded and be able to hear clean sound. And when you feel like you've caught something, it will be a lot better without all that contamination. So preparing your mind mentally and physically, your ears, your senses. I don't consider myself a sensitive, but when I'm in a location, I'm in the dark, I like to take about 5 minutes at the beginning of a session and do nothing, but just sit and listen. Listen to the room, get to know its noises, get to know what those sounds are outside, the traffic, if I hear a distant highway, or if there's a ticking sound from a radiator or from a furnace or air conditioning or a fan or something like that. So I can get those noises in my head and understand what they are so I can filter them out and listen for other things. And everybody asks me, why do you investigate in the dark? Well, with the lights on, my eyes see everything. So they're constantly communicating back what I see. I see that chair and that dog and that vase and that lamp and that fan and, you know, those two people sitting over there, and what are they doing? They're doing this and that. You're computing. Well, with the lights off, all that goes away. And it allows my brain to be able to compute other things, such as the sounds around me, the smells, the temperature in the room. And that's where you feel that sense of something being there or not, a cold spot. So that's just my advice to you. And if you want to try that sometime and just sitting at home, just shut off the lights. Sit in the room for 5 minutes and see how your brain interprets that situation, and identify all the things around you that you hear. It's training for your brain. And like I said, once you get more familiar with it and you go into a session, just do like I do. Get in there and let everything settle. Let the house settle. Let all the people that are with you settle. And then let your brain settle. And then just listen to the room and get yourself acclimated to what's going on around you. And then once you do, all the sessions going forward are going to be a much more enjoyable experience. So those are our top 5 devices that you should use during a paranormal investigation. So if you like this video, please let us know by hitting the share, like, or subscribe, and then that little bell thing that will let you know when I upload a new video. So I got a couple more videos coming up, talking about technical stuff. I am going to cover CCTV cameras next, but I hope this gives you an idea of what we use. There's all kinds of stuff that you can spend money on. All kinds of stuff out there you can spend money on. But this is what we chose and have tested out in the field and works the best for us. Remember the KISS method? Keep it simple, stupid. There's lots of stuff out there. My best advice is to do your homework on it, see what's best for you, what works for your team, maybe meet your needs. We do a lot of different types of experiments as investigators. So find the tool that works best for that experiment. Have fun with it. Have a good time with it. And one more piece of advice, change your batteries on every investigation. Every single one. Even if you don't use the device that often during an investigation, the next time you use it, change the batteries. You need to rule out that the battery just died or something took its energy. Don't leave that excuse on the table. Cough up the money and put in brand new batteries. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and hit that little bell thing, and it'll notify you when I upload a new video. Thank you very much for watching. See ya.
Everybody knows the words to this one.
Another one bites the dust.